Hey everybody, it's your boy Captain Hunter coming at you again. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Listen, without further ado, this is a story I just heard about. Black female police chief caught on audio saying she doesn't want to hire any more black female or Hispanic females for her police department. Let's take a listen.
Thank you for joining us for the second half hour. The Factor Uncensored. The now suspended police chief at the Atlanta VA Medical Center Police Department making national headlines tonight. Audio recordings from 2023 of Chief Beverly Banks have been released. She can be heard saying or making it clear she does not want to hire minority female officers, particularly black females and Hispanic females.
I am to the point, I don't want to hire black women no more. I'm to that point. I ain't got no white women beating my door down to come in here and work, but I wish they would, because I don't have these problems. I don't have no Hispanic women. Hell, I don't want them either. Because you know what comes with it? A whole lot of attitude, and I don't want it. I'm the only one with the attitude in this place, me.
There have been complaints in the past about favoritism and sexism at the Atlanta VA Medical Center Police Department, dating back to before Chief Banks took the job in 2022. My next guest shared their thoughts on her comments. And joining us now on The Factor Uncensored to discuss this case out of Atlanta, we have with us Greg Dupree, former law enforcement officer who is now into private security and, of course, working with other law enforcement agencies around the country. And we have with us Rael Williams, one of our commentators here on The Factor. So first of all, let's deal with what we see on the surface, Greg Dupree, when we talk about Chief Beverly Banks at the VA, the Veterans Administration in Atlanta. What she was caught on tape saying, your thoughts on that? Should she be terminated for that? Should she be investigated? Should she be suspended for that?
She should be afforded due process.
I have not listened to this video, so I'm going to answer the same question. It's definitely going to be an investigation. She may even need to be terminated for that. If this is a white male saying something like this, or a black male saying something along the same lines about white females, that would be considered unfit for the job. Now I think he's going to say due process, and we got to see where it goes, and who made the audio recording, has it been doctored, a full investigation. If the investigation obviously turns out that this is true, this is her sentiments, then how can she lead a department of people, right? There's an initiative going on right now. It's called 30 by 30. That means they want to have 30% of law enforcement. They want to be ladies or women by the year 2030, 30 by 30 initiative. So this female police chief probably is aware of that, but just has a problem with the employees that has been going on. And I got to ask this question, just as that was my professional answer, but my personal answer is, or a question I would say is, how bad is this department where they're just continuing to drive her to this point? I should put it like that. What could cause her to have so much anguish, so much frustration, so she would actually say this out loud? And note to your other supervisors out there, always assume you're being recorded. Let's hear this guy's answer.
For her comments, and at the end of that due process, she should be terminated. Because anyone with that type of discriminatory attitude, whether they're white, black, or otherwise, it makes those type of inappropriate, unprofessional, and offensive comments does not deserve to be chief of any law enforcement agency.
And Greg, do you ask yourself, what did she think, or how did she think she may have been special to say these things so publicly?
Well,
I think that her specialty, she's saying that I'm the only one in attitude with the chief. That's what I think. That's what I think she means by that. I'm the chief. I'm the one who gets to have an attitude. Don't come in here barking with attitude, brimming with attitude, speaking to me with attitude, speaking to other colleagues with attitude. It seems as if she's talking about a disruptive work environment. Now, there's got to be ways that she's got to go about handling a disruptive work environment in problem employees. But to speak this out loud in that manner of frustration is just unacceptable. Let's hear this guy's answer.
She probably worked in an environment where it allowed her a certain level of comfort for her to be able to make those type of remarks. if you notice in the story, that some of her subordinates were suing her for sexual harassment and other offenses that were going on in the department that evidently she was tolerating. So in that meeting, she was probably with some of these individuals who were being accused or who were being named in the lawsuit. So she felt fairly comfortable about making those comments.
All right.
So when you deal with sexual harassment, I just released a story about this as well. Sexual harassment. Listen, there's so many different types of it. It's not just one supervisor doing something to another one or anything like that, right? It's a whole. They're talking about a culture, and it's your job as a supervisor to, number one, stop it, and to document it, to perform retraining, and to make sure it's not going on. Those are your different types of responsibilities. So you can be sued as a supervisor, particularly as a head of an agency, if you don't take the proper steps to not only knock it off, but to ensure that knocking off has continued to stay off, that through supervisor interventions, through training, retraining, firing individuals who aren't getting along with the program. You have to do your due diligence and all that. And so sexual harassment can also be, skipping over people because it's discriminatory practices. If you're not following procedures, if you're showing favoritism and things along those lines. So you really have to be very, very careful about all that entails sexual harassment.
Rael, your thoughts on her comments on the surface and what we see in the investigation?
Yeah, I think that, what she said, if you look at it and don't look at it on the surface, you got to dig a little bit deeper. I think that, she has a point. With African Americans being so passionate behind what they believe and passionate behind what they do. You can even see this in sports and just in general music. We're very passionate people. She probably had some prior experiences with African Americans that didn't turn out too well, which makes her to say that I don't want to have those type of people working for me. Now I don't think
what a terrible answer. Because we are passionate people, and this has always been said, we're passionate, we're emotional, we're overly emotional, right? We can't control our emotions, and we just fly off the handle, right? So this would be an excuse to not hire any of us for any positions, because as soon as we walk through the door, they're gonna associate these types of things with our skin color. So I don't know why this guy who is of this hue would make these kind of ridiculous statements. But listen to the rest of what this guy is saying.
I think it's right necessarily that she's going to judge everybody that's African American based on their what she's experienced in the past. However, I do believe that it is something to consider when you're hiring somebody. If you've had a lot of bad experiences with one particular race, it's going to cause you to make judgments based on whether or not you want to deal with those particular people or not. So I just think it's a matter that, somebody get this guy some HR training, because he does not know what he's talking. He's making blanket statements. So white males who have been more associated with shooting shouldn't be hired in certain positions. Black males who have whatever, females. What are you saying? Yeah, and you have to deal with individuals on an individual basis. You cannot lump us all in together and say we're not going to hire any more black females, any more Hispanic females, any more white males, any more Hispanic males, any Asian. You can't do that. What kind of political analyst is this? Scrutiny and people to look more in depth into it.
Obviously, it is now public and it is causing her a lot of problems. People are saying, well, you cannot say that about black females. Mm-hmm. And your thoughts on that, Greg Dupree? And not just black females, Hispanic females.
Hispanic female as well. Yeah, I think that, everyone has their own personal opinion, but you can't bring that into the job place or into the workplace, especially when it comes to hiring. If she's bringing that type of attitude or that type of discriminatory attitude into the workplace around her hiring practices, there's no way that a black female or a Hispanic female would ever have a fair shot at getting a job under her administration. And that's wrong.
Or they would be regulated to non-desirable positions or shifts or assignments. And that would be a form of discrimination, just form of harassment and all that. That would open up. She just completely opened up this department to a lot of potential lawsuits, and she has to be. If all this is proven to be true, she has to be removed. She cannot be there.
Oh, as I said, she can have those type of. She could have had a lot of bad experiences, working with black females or working with Hispanic females. But you can't make a blanket statement like that against a group or groups of people and use it into determining who you're going to hire for the job.
And Rael, do you agree with what Greg is saying there?
No, yeah, I completely agree that you got to give everybody a fair shake. I mean, I'm African American. If you don't give everybody a fair shake, then you won't give me one either. So I think everybody deserves a fair shake. However, I do believe that if she has had a lot of experiences with that particular gender or race or whatever, that, it's going to cause some level of discomfort when you're dealing with that same particular issue. So I think that she should evaluate it case by case. If she notices in the interview or in the hiring process that there's a little attitude present, maybe she should, move on to another candidate. But I don't think that she should make a blanket statement that all black people are all, Hispanic people are not worthy of being hired. I don't think that's right. But
hey, this guy's speaking out of both sides of his mouth. Okay, it's okay to have conceptions about people as a group, but then you have to take them case by case scenario and try to do a better job of weeding out. But that would be an individual basis, weeding them out on an individual basis. But when somebody walks through the door, if you have this past, you have to leave your past experiences in the hiring process alone. That's why a lot of people don't want to fill out these questionnaires, surveys about what's your race, what's your gender, what do you have disabilities. They don't want to fill those out because they don't want to be targeted and have their resumes applications thrown in the trash because they see that you're a black female, white female, black male, white male, Asian. They want a fair shot at the job. And when people think this guy's very telling in what he's saying. He's saying that, because of these past experiences of these of the race and gender, then you're going to formulate these opinions. But as a hiring man, and listen, we all have them. I'm not ignorant to the fact that people don't have them. But but if you're going to be a supervisor, particularly in the public sphere, the public sector, then you have to develop a different mindset and try to give everyone a shot. So that's the side of the mouth that I think he should really stick with. And it's unfortunate, but he's being very telling.
Yeah, I do understand her feelings.
And of course, we'll continue this conversation after the break. It gets interesting. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Continuing coverage now, following the controversial claim from the police chief of the Atlanta VA Medical Center Police Department. Chief Beverly Banks says she doesn't want any black or Hispanic officers, female officers, on her staff. Female officers. Now, according to her, they come with too much attitude. My next guest, they continue their discussion about this. And of course, when you say you understand her feelings, what would you say to the viewer who say that's still not right? You understand her feelings, but she can't paint a group of women, two groups of women, that being Hispanic and black, with broad brushes like that?
Well, I think you've got to go and look at the studies that have been done as far as anger management as it relates to Hispanic and African Americans. You can go and look at the Chicago Crowdy study, which did a study on African Americans and found out that African Americans have a lot more anger issues than any other race. You can go and also look at a Midas study done in 2015, where it was shown that African Americans have a huge problem containing their anger. Even Hispanic Americans, there's been multiple studies done on them as well. So like I said, I don't think you can make a blanket statement that anybody who's African American or Hispanic, can't be hired. I don't think that's true, but you've got to definitely use wisdom in hiring people when they have, they're predisposed to certain things. It's just, I think it's a matter of, her just, looking at everything case by case.
All right. We want to thank you.
Isaiah, could I interject something here for a second?
Go ahead, Greg.
Okay. First of all, let me say this, and I'm not basing on any study but my own of having over 20 years of law enforcement experience with two different police agencies where I worked with several Black, white, Hispanic females, and I never saw that being an issue with Black or Hispanic females, where their attitudes were worse than any other officers I was working with. Before I sat down to do this interview, I discussed this with my father. You can see his picture back up on the wall, who also has law enforcement experience, and he could not believe that someone would make a blanket statement like that as well. You have to think about something. By saying that this woman has some type of legitimacy in making this type of statement gives legitimacy to any officer, a white officer, for example, who could say, well, you know, you can't work around Black people because they're all crooks and they all need to go to jail. That's just not fair.
Or because you quote some study about our inability to hold anger and all that. So I gotta look these studies up. I'm not aware of them, so I'm definitely gonna look them up.
It's just not right.
All right. We want to thank you both for joining us with your perspectives here on the.
All right, everyone. So the guy there talked about anger management and things along those lines. So I it was difficult for me to hear exactly the words that he said as he was speaking, but I did go to search around for some anger studies, which I gotta admit that I was not. I always knew that there was some forms of anger, but that, you know, there's been things debunking the myth of the Black female anger issue and yada yada yada. So what I wanted to talk about, I want to get into this, and I'm going to do a separate video about these articles that I came across. So this one, first one comes from Hostility and Quality of Life Among Hispanics, Latinos, SOL Sociocultural Interlibrary Study, and this is from National Library of Medicine. And then another one I found, Anger in Black and White, Race, Alienation, and Anger. This one is Educational Status, Anger, Inflammation, and the Midas, National Examples. I think that's what the brother was talking about when he said Midas. Does Race Matter? Anger in Management in Black and White, Race, Alienation, and Anger. I think I have this article. I think I can close that one out. Relax, Alternatives to Anger, Examining the Experience of Latino Adults, an Anger Management Program. And Race and Ethnic and Gender Disparities in Anger Management Therapy as a Probation Condition. So I'm going to read through these articles, and I'm going to do a separate video about these and talk about any anger management issues, because this could be potentially a serious problem. I'm going to do this because, you know, we want to get hired and we don't want blanket statements being made about anyone. And if there's certain issues going on, we got to solve those issues, right? Let's solve those issues. So that's it. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions about this, blanket statements like this. Should this police chief be fired? What are your thoughts about what was said here? And look forward to my analysis of these articles about, I'm just going to do a 5-10 minute presentation about what I read. And this one here about hostility, this one here, hostility. This one, there's a difference between hostility and anger. And hostility is the lashing out. Anger could be like you think about the resting bitch face, right? Think about that, right? Resting, B face, whatever. That's anger. That's a steady state of just unhappiness, right? But hostility, and that's probably more of what the police chief was alluding to. But let me know your thoughts, your opinions, and I'm going to get to it in a little bit. Much love and peace, everyone. Hit that like button. Hit the like button.